The following is a comment on Satan's Prism by Nargargole Shlod, or as I know him in Lzwvmmh, Wazis, Kazasal, Mzi, Mul, Lunner, Fulm, Lum, Marks, Lzwvmmh. And I lost it for a second there.
Okay.
Environmentalism and humanism are like the good side, and the fascists, racists, feminists are on the bad side of secular causes. Onyx Mass of theistic Satanism is one I haven't heard of. I composed multiple series of long rituals and other services that I have tried to get others to join in and have had some success in doing that. But I am perfectly happy being in a cult of one without it getting more political. I hear people have ritually used my videos here, and I think that the internet helps certain teaching and practice to flourish, particularly those that some want to outlaw in their very message. Ooh, a satanic carnival. And that was at so 12 minutes and 19 seconds into the video was that last line was from that. But I am here with Lzwvmmh
also known as Axaru. All right.
And now one of the more dramatic rituals, I don't know if you saw, like he had this Kutulu summoning for destroying things or something. He's out there in the woods and he's edited the thing. He edited the video of the things. He's like destroy us and all this other stuff. And or Shlod Nargargole in the snow. The dance of Shlod. You know.
Yeah, you sound exactly like him. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, I've seen. You know, if he's done a video on Kutulu, I'd probably fucking see it. That's for sure. I don't want to miss out on those things. That's why I had the fucking Kutulu symbol there. You know.
But it's doing this.
Yeah, again, not showing the whole thing.
What do you mean not showing the whole thing?
Yeah, isn't it supposed to show the whole thing or the whole graph? Or
yeah, I would have hoped it would show the whole graphic, but
yeah.
So Prism. So you know, you see through different colors, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not necessarily in this way. Like, for example, I have another comment with here because I guess the blue light, the orange, pink, the green below it, the purples, yellows, white, and black above it are not the evil history. Worshipping other than God, soothsaying, lies, and psychological abuse, the real evil. Some of the okay, I mentioned the 970 in the last video. They're twists of real people in combination of the stories of some such figures. Some of the figures that Eckankar talked about were real people, but they weren't Eckankar members. Rumi was a secret leader of Eckankar, and so and Shamsa Tabriz, he's a secret leader of Eckankar. He wasn't known about that during his life, but he was really he wasn't a Shia. He was a different he was in the Shia Muslim. He was a different religion. He was like secretly part of our group and that sort of thing. To say. But the physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric, they're perspectives of this world. And the soul planes of a lot of these people, it's not really this, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So people try to distract, like I was talking about the Lovecraft poem to the infant. Another way that we can think of things that I'm sure came up in his video, because a lot of my comments are like, he made a video that was like 20. You know, he makes a video even a half an hour long, and sometimes I only have
exactly.
have like a 4-liner.
They can range from 5 seconds to 5 hours, I guess. His videos.
But it's obvious that he's talking about there's all these different distracting causes.
Yeah,
that's one of the problems people have. People always want a cause, and so they come up with all these different causes, and they think it's all it's like I was talking about the idea that the body or being or like the world or being human or something is just for being human, you know. And so all these, so that's how they motivate you. If they can't get, you know, that the body is it, and the body is just there doing what it does for its own sake.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
And so people say, "Oh, I'm humanist."
Yeah.
So, and humanists like to be seen for what they're doing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Like a lot of the people you talk about it's like, yes, you could. I mean, it shouldn't be like no charity is ever done with people knowing who did it, but honestly, that shouldn't be the point. Like I don't like this thing where you go somewhere and people stand up and it's like they ask for money, and then person after person stands up. I'll donate 500. I'll donate this. I'll
exactly.
That sort of thing.
Oh, look at me! I'm so good. Yeah.
It's not necessarily, but that's a risk. That's a definite risk with the whole thing. And it's like, why can't it be taken care of?
Yeah.
Oh, we need money. Okay, then when somebody stops by, they write on their slip of paper.
They can do it in a better way. Yeah.
They write on their slip of paper what they're putting in. It's like you have to have your money. You have to have your name on the sign. What? You don't have to have your name on the sign.
No. Fuck no. Yeah. Yeah.
But he definitely has his now his comment on the book is publicly available.
Okay.
He uses Jews with an extra e in it, like the old spelling Jew as a technical term, because certainly as I've talked about, as I pointed out, there's like this idea of putting the rabbis in charge and the extra all the extra interpretation. It's nice to have people coming up with rituals and interpretations and stuff like this, but requiring them on everybody, that's an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If you want to say something's good or bad, it's maybe for you or something, but it's like it. But even the Bible, they set the ground for that. And the book of Esther, which makes the book of Esther and the Song of Solomon makes no mention of God. But the Song of Solomon at least has some moral character. But the book of Esther paves the way for the rabbis to invent holidays. Does it say that God? Does it say that God had a prophet sanction celebrating Purim? No. The Bible never makes a claim that God sanctioned it. It says the rabbis came up with it.
Okay. Yeah.
And and some Persians, I don't know if you've heard of this, but some Persians celebrate surviving that queen. There was a Hebrew queen that had even more people killed, according to Persian records, than even in the Jewish records. The Jewish records make it sound like maybe it was like several thousand or something, but it turned out to be even greater than that, 10 times greater than that.
All right.
But they celebrate. There's people every year in Iran who celebrate surviving the existence of having a Hebrew queen who tried to who got suspicious of some of them and killed them just to be, without any evidence, just to be sure.
Wow. Okay.
And sleeping away, it's like sleeping your way to the top. That's really that's really where high moral values reside.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But but you know, different levels. And one of the things working on different, a prism is, I guess, a symbol of working on a different level. And some of the things working on a different level, of course, is
oh yeah,
is that you're
no,
I'll just shut that part for now.
okay,
It's that's one of the things that comes through in a lot of rituals.
yeah,
Like I mean, feel free, of course, at any point to share your own comment of the thing.
yeah, sure, yeah.
I've had some. I specifically had permission from him to share something at a particular point. I don't.
Yeah.
But I haven't had, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't have it here. I don't have it here. I have a chant with a thing, but.
Okay.
One of the ritual, some of the rituals that he put on his channel relate. Okay, while I'm finding this, I might as well. So you're obviously traditional or theistic Satanism is obviously not the same as your stereotypical Abrahamic religion with its professional priesthood and the priest side who's worthy and who gets to take part in what and all that other stuff. That is,
that's,
you know, that's off. That's off the keel here.
Okay.
But so a reverse. So you can involve yourself in one of the points in the first epistle section of this is that you can involve yourself in ritual, and it goes beyond just blasphemy. It's like, oh, it's like you're really secretly a Christian and you don't want to admit it. No, you realize there's power in that mythology and you can use that. Like we have Mu, and we have Sationa, and we have Murataz, you know, so fire, air, water, earth, that's the sort of thing.
Okay.
So the second epistle on the 3 3s, we're looking at, you know, you have the experience. So the experience is not just you know, some people act like it's just some LaVeyan Satanism where it's just oh well, it's a principle and there's no spirit. It's like, yeah, you don't have spirit, you're not supposed to have spiritual pipe dreams, but there is spiritual stuff. So it's not that you destroy this life for the
next one.
For the next one. That's not what you're doing. So you're trying to have an experience on the human level, on the psychic level, and the spiritual level, and you're trying to entwine those things. And and truth. Now either again, either you know, either godliness is like what you're trying to be, or it's what you're not trying to be, because ungodliness is really the thing worthy of devotion, like the thing that people are saying with the you know what people say with their what am I thinking? So many, there's so many labels of good and evil that are just all mixed up.
Exactly. It is.
And so like for example, here's an the astral projection rite. So instead of a Kabbalistic cross, your so north, northwest, south, east. So it's kind of like the Crowley star ruby ritual, same order as that, but you go Yar Solo Venus Argar Fall, and then
interesting.
Abela Sar Farox.
Wow.
Charla Shafan Sargarfal Elaban Targaxos Narfolia Lar Sargon Tanakanar Sarga Talamea Sarga Ealas Satanaxos Aparthe Sarga Ventricular Larsar Laman Eque Taxos, and basically omitting some of the details there, the each part
yeah,
there.
I'm curious.
but that's that astral projection initiated by solo massive Satan Right is supposed to break you free from these.
Wow.
Well, let's just say the false false light, the false light.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
the angel worshiping cults, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
I see we're sort of drawing towards a close, so let's. Well, this is probably gonna be the last video.
Okay.
And some of the truth. Obviously, characteristics differ from one entity to another, and obviously the type of working you're doing, like path working is not just some collected all. It's like, I day after day I have you spend a year and you're working through the Goetia or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's not really it.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that you're you're working through it because you're trying to evoke yourself in the certain ways and open yourself up. And again, like I said, I'm not I'm not just making my way through some list, calling up this demon or that demon, and it's my new god or something like that. That's not what I'm doing.
Okay.
But when you dress these areas, it's like a path working. Like an interesting thing that because I mentioned earlier today that to you that I was in a Sufi meeting yesterday. And so one of the interesting things, the Arabic word for chapter that's used to refer to the Quran is it means steps. It means degrees in the.
It means what?
It means steps in the structure, degrees, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like each level is supposed to be an initiation.
Okay.
So yes, you learn it, but as you go on, you're supposed to practice it or understand it and experience it. And that's the thing with almost every religion. You're going to get like sort of this gap. Is this well, Islam specifically speaks to the six, but this can apply to whatever you have. You got your belief. You got your learning, you got your teaching, you got your practicing, you got your understanding, and you got your experiencing. And like people from every group have fallen into this materialistic thing. But that's a side point here. But understanding, I've met people that have gotten degrees in they've literally got they got degrees in Islamic understanding, but they don't understand for themselves. They've memorized other people's understanding. Or they memorized enough of the bullet points to arrange the understanding, and it's like that's not how the understanding stage works.
No, exactly.
But some people are just their best is conservative. Some people are best as liberals. Some are best as fundamentalists. Some are best as reformers, and they're not. That's just where they're best.
Exactly.
Now I could say best overall, but perhaps somebody would have to develop to go like whatever. But the experiencing that's what I was getting at with my comment in the meeting. Is whether a different way to articulate. Because one of the three things in my channel mission, I think it's in the description, is experience. So experience is what I'm trying to bring out in myself and whoever wants to join.
And you do a good job at that.
I mean, literally somebody could watch even as something as
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really know. It's like when I do the graveyard videos, it's not like I've been there and I've been scanned over there again and again and again, and then finally did whatever. I may at some point, like, you know, return to the same graveyard and do something in a graveyard that I've filmed before or something. But my meditative explorations of the graveyards, because that's really what I'm doing. Some people will have an experience with that. Some people like the Enochian stuff. Some people like a grimoire like thing. Some people like my seasonal sort of things, and that's whatever. And so.
Oh yeah.
So the question, like I brought up in the Iblis here in my the Iblis playlist. I've went over this sort of thing. Is that Satan? Satan was something before he was called Satan, so it's not the same thing as an anti-deity.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's one of the things, and so it's rebeller. Somebody leads away. So it's a title.
Yeah, exactly.
But it started in a thought, just like the whole idea that the universe was created as a thought, and then it was. And then it became an action.
Oh, yeah,
and then, and then both the Jews and I'm not saying it's inherent to either group, but a lot of the Jews and a lot of the Muslims have brought up this idea that since God's supposed to have spoken their scripture, at least its original form. Now the Jews had a good 100 prophets or something that came to the Israelites. They descend some of their stuff comes from like over 100 different prophets. I think there's like 83 ones they have names or something, but they obviously don't have the book. It's like, really, Moses wrote in its own book, and then Moses died, and nobody has ever been like Moses ever since. Moses wrote that? Come on.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, exactly.
And they mix up time periods. You could have stuff happen. The Bible makes it sound like things that happened 1,000 years apart happen together.
Okay.
So is the Greek legend of Troy, but let's be real about that. So even from the book, but even from what's left of their book themselves, it's apparent none of those spiritual people that were leading them, they were against the professional priest. Jeremiah and Isaiah were trying to reform the professional priest. They weren't bowing to the professional priest will and deciding that what they forbid is forbidden, and
Interesting.
That's obviously why they tried to kill Jesus, is because Jesus obviously was a figure that said, hey,
interesting
you rabbis are trying to make things too strict. Do good to your fellow person. Don't make it about some, not letting people to go to the bathroom or help people on a Saturday. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
And one of the things in the third epistle on the truth, it's language. Language is a leading thing. And one of the things in English is that our use of like words like angel and demon is like messed up our thing. And a lot of and like I've talked to people of all different faiths that have said just stupid things because they didn't know what things meant in one culture or another, and they just they don't even know how things are in their own faith.
They're just parrots. Yeah.
And so they've repeated this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the West.
Yeah.
Now I understand a person could be dirty at the time or whatnot. We had this idea that our bodies are dirty and shameful, and that sex even in marriage is whatever, because the Bible does say that. So even people that aren't Jews, aren't Christians, have adapted some of these things. And of course, one of the things in Epistle 4 is, of course, the idea that vengeance is going to come. So I've come up with a deity. Well, not come up with. I've gone over a list where definitely one of the qualities of the divine is vengeance, but it's not because there has been persecution. Even some groups that obviously were sectarian, as in they geared things towards their own way, they ended up being persecuted because like people were more interested in their political power than what the base faith or something was. The church I was part of, they really they persecuted it because this guy was going around telling people, hey, stop being such drunkards and stuff like this. And they were nicer to their women. People admit it. Women tend to be the second or third wife of a guy that will treat them right, rather than a guy that reeks of alcohol and beats them every day.
Wow.
Or maybe not every day, but
they miss that distinction. Most people.
And I hear from parts of Africa too is that people would rather be with a decent guy and not be his only wife.
Exactly.
Be the only wife of a guy that's not.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now some the people who are in it just for how rich they are might put up with a guy having a mistress in the town he goes to work with, and
and people see this and they think it represents the religion. That's the funny part too.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I said,
exactly.
That one thing I brought up is not just the one comment that I was referring to. Is that not judging, and it's like there's and this other comment that's part of this. It's like you got to know about something before judging, and it's like you judge by saying I don't know.
That when people hear you say Christian people, they don't understand it themselves when they say, oh, you should not judge. Okay, then they don't understand it in the context, in the proper context even. Wow.
Judges should be judged. They leave out that line. That's that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what's all that other stuff talking about? All various types of morality, helping people, or chastity, or all this other stuff. It's like that's. Thank you very much. But it's like there's. I think there's always been properly guided people to enough of a degree. But there's certainly certain times where humanity as a whole has this age of ignorance, and there's not really any solid thing of governance. That's one of the things. Avatars, prophets, whatever, people come and they have experiences, and they can people can learn from them. Is one of the things that happens, and there's also the period of ignorance within individuals.
Okay.
But as I was saying with that Lovecraft poem there, that Lovecraft poem that I was bringing up, there's a period of ignorance that can be put on a person.
Okay.
Now some of this could be thought, some of this could be pleasure. But the fifth epistle on the demons, it talks about how the demons can relate to somebody's pleasure and somebody's consciousness, or at least what's being called demons, because and but it's saying Nargargole was very into the whole satanic unity thing, at least at times. And so definitely the idea, note that it doesn't matter how demonic possession is achieved. But one of the things that he does say is there's a consciousness intact. It's not this new age idea. He's not supporting this new age idea that you destroy your ego or you become unconscious. It's that your consciousness is, it's, it's chosen to be somewhere. The outsider. Now, as one thing I mentioned very frequently is, it's not. I don't do things to be approved. I don't do things just to be.
No, exactly.
So there's a puzzling with that, because there's criminality and there's perversion, but it's sometimes what society thinks is that way is the proper thing to do. It's not always, if I have when I talk about the one group, the one meme when I did that series of videos was criminal and perverted Satanism is what the meme says. That's literally
there's a difference there.
What it says, but you're getting into the areas of that. So the 11 rules of Earth, obviously, like one of the things in some of his there were some controversial videos that tended to be towards the top of his most popular videos, which end up being the ones that are recommended to you, so you end up seeing them first. And then after I saw those, and I saw him talking about Ekankar and co-editing and some other stuff. I thought, hey, this guy's more advanced than some of these people that I've seen their stuff, and so I ended up trying to watch the whole channel.
Okay, wow, yeah.
But so he talked about how somebody can be a pervert or a criminal for Satan, and then the person who punishes them can be doing it for Satan, and that sort of thing are maybe not punishing, because a lot of it's like what people call prison justice. A lot of it is just people are bad, people are predatory people, and they're preying on people. It's not about justice. It's they're looking over the prison, saying, what can I get away with, and what crimes will be easier to think. So if they're stealing or beating or what or worse things, it's usually not because they're. Now I understand, like for example, I saw a guy get stabbed. One guy, I saw a guy stabbed, but he raped somebody, and the guy who stabbed him went after him to prevent it from happening again.
But then he's a hypocrite because he kills. That's also a sin. So how does he go around that?
This guy, the guy who did this was Christian, yes. Both the guys, both the perpetrator and the person who said, I have to deal with what I'm gonna, it's okay. That was criminal, but it was sort of the thing. It's like, but didn't he sort of have to, didn't the guy sort of have to, next chance, you see the guy again, and it's like, I have to do something. The guy, so the guy pulled out something and stabbed that guy, and the guy, the other guy lived.
But I think the problem with this is that the media, for example, can say, they can assassinate people by saying, okay, he's a rapist or he's a child molester or whatever. How do you see that? How that can be?
Oh, that's one of the things is the media. The media gets somebody. If somebody's not found guilty, there's people all the time in my country who get killed in jail who turn out to be innocent because they were labeled when they didn't wait to prove it. They didn't wait to prove it. They locked up the guy on some he said she said thing, and it's usually the case he did something, but sometimes not.
But how do you tell?
The most common thing is that they're not outright lying, but there's mistaken identity of some sort.
Most of those people want to be like hero figures and like stand for justice, and most people are not really doing it for justice. I've noticed most people are just doing it for some other reasons.
Well, that guy who got revenge against his rapist in the blog. That was different, and he wasn't just doing it for revenge. It seemed like it was making him safer, because then then people knew. I don't think anybody, as far maybe later in his life, but as far as when I was around, no one ever even bullied that guy again. And that's one of the things they don't tell you. The guy who did it, was a bully, but it turned out his bullying included raping people. And so they probably don't know how many people he actually did that to. Interesting. And I've been to schools big enough that I've heard that that's happened that way too. Is that this person's a bully, but they like I mentioned, we've talked about a cult leader, that this cult leader says that she bullied people into sexual activity with her. So it's multiple people, multiple times. That's called being a serial rapist. Don't tell us all you're all the victim. Victim of yourself, yes, because it can be traumatic for people to do horrible things.
Exactly.
So if just criminality and perversion for itself. So many people even publish books. People are even publishing books and videos and stuff, telling people that that if you just, the demons will help you get away with it if you just Nargargle's real about it. It's like you feel like to break through and prove and make this sacrifice. It's like, but you're going to have to deal with the consequences. It's not necessarily how you get away with stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Now there are experiences like you get a cop you got a policeman that's not so good, and he's or maybe he thinks of himself as particularly good, and and the same spirits that he's labeling as the Holy Ghost are telling him are suggesting to him, don't look there, don't look, so they stop a serial killer with a body in their trunk, and it turns out that when they stop them, they they don't feel like I was going to check this guy's trunk, but I decided not to, and it turned out they decided that the guy's trunk or something had evidence of a crime he committed. It's like they don't look in the back seat, and or they would have seen the bloody weapon, or they would have seen the kidnapping kit or whatever. So there's a difference, and there's of course a difference. It's like people want to blame all criminality, all perversion on just, first of all, it's your choice. I watched this video, the Sermon of Satan on the Day of Judgment, basically, and Satan was like, yeah, I said stuff, but other stuff was said too, and you chose to believe me, you chose to follow me, it was your choice. And other people are going to just assume stuff. Like I've been contacted by people now. I'm not saying that I didn't I definitely didn't aid and abet anything, but I've been contacted by people. Some of it's testing. Like people find out you're into certain studies and stuff, and they contact you to see, oh, do you want to do this or stuff like this. Some of it's government agents, by the way. So anybody contacts you from the internet or from some occult group or something like this, are the masjid or your church or your synagogue, they may be a government agent trying to entrap extremists or something like this. And honestly, you probably wouldn't. Most of these people would have never even said, "Oh yeah, I'll," but somebody says, "Oh yeah," and they lead them there and they give them a fake device, and then they arrest them because it's like, because they set them up. And they're like, oh, 20 years in prison. So here's somebody that the corporate prison system will have as their slave for 20 years, basically. But people think that you just have to be a pervert or a criminal, Satanist or whatever. Like, no. It's not the same thing. And
I think the overall intention maybe matters more, or So
you gotta go beyond this or that. It's like the socially inappropriate level.
That's the word.
You can get there. You can get there without being, And speaking in tongues, of course. There is stuff that comes through. It's like I've talked about my Lzwvmmh stuff. It turns out there's a lot of that stuff has meaning, like it all has some number significance, some of it. And sometimes phrases in certain languages will come out other than that. So the speaking in tongues, or however, whatever tone you're going to have, you increase the activity around your brainstem and you decrease your prefrontal cortex activity.
Exactly. I've heard this theory before.
And so that's what happens. And if you can figure out, there's methods towards that end, but but it's a liberation from normal consciousness. And there's other ways of breaking through by dance.
Oh, it is.
By dance, by music, that sort of stuff. We can relate that to what's here, what's in
it's better to use music or something instead for that purpose, I think. Or, being in nature, or, I mean, it's just stupid. Talking a language you don't understand.
And then there's the Ankh's Bible thing. Now there's issues with the English language, but there's revisions that come through. Like so he's not saying everything's inspired. It's more like provoked by this would be a good idea or whatnot. But freedom. So he's saying. Yeah, it's certainly not. It's like whether you're talking about Buddha or Muhammad or Zoroaster, none of these people were like what you typically would consider like an Abrahamic prophet. That's like, you better believe or you go to hellfire. You don't even interpret for yourself. Just believe and do what I tell you, and everything will be okay. It was always qualified for that sort of thing. And priest between you and the spiritual realms, he's saying that Satanism isn't about that. So now you can have religious officials that operate or something, but definitely every other New Ager, and that's I guess one of the things that people like. I saw this video. I didn't see the whole clip. It's another one of those Bob Larson clips, and this guy was saying that's how much he hated. Part of the reason why I think this guy hated Islam is because Islam was they didn't have a professional priesthood. So the Church of Satan says that you can make money casting spells and stuff on people and stuff like that. So ritual for hire and stuff like this is definitely something that the Church of Satan takes part in and they allow. So Islam stamps its foot down and says that nobody stands in front of your spiritual access. And Carl's saying that too. He's saying no one's in the way of your spiritual access. Make direct contact with the spiritual worlds, whatever. And be willing to constantly change. So that's part of the reason why he's back and forth this, that, and other. So it's, what's this side? I'm indulging this side and that side, and
interesting. Never thought about that before.
And so you break your freedom from the order, from the it's like if a person is going to have a ritual, I think one of the more important things with a ritual is to have a ritual that there could be some variation from. Like what we
what do you mean by that?
I see it's time for us to start to wind this down. And at least definitely on your end, it's a ritual. It's like what we just went over. A person could that could be a base of something, and then you go on to something else. Like your typical pentagram rites, like I mentioned, the star ruby and stuff like this. These are things that people would do. Okay, here's a pentagram rite, here's a hexagram rite, and let's do this and this and that sort of thing. Like for example, the hexagrams are like the octagon, like the different. You can think of them as I would prefer to actually use the platonic solids. Four sides is fire. And earth would be a cube. And what is the dodecahedron? The might as well look this up while we're talking about. Platonic solids, yes.
Platonic solids.
And
Plato was the philosopher who came up with the solids, right? Or
so you see this in a way in what's contained in what you have. So the tetrahedron, the octahedron, so the 8 sides, and then the ecahedron, the 6-sided, so the cube. And then you have the 20 sides for water, and then spirit is 12 side. Is it 12? Yeah, I guess it's 12 sides. So in the hexagram rites, you'd have the fire, two triangles pointed up. And for air, you would have a triangle pointed up and a triangle pointed down right next to each other. And earth, you'd have a triangle pointed up and a triangle pointed down right next to each other. And for water, you'd have 2 triangles pointing down. And overlapping each other, and that's your typical like Golden Dawn thing. But I like the idea of having the different sided shapes. That it's not just breaking up, you got 2 triangles, that sort of thing. And now I guess it may be easier just to use the 2 triangle system, whether you're going to overlap them, pointing up, pointing down, pointed each way.
Whatever is useful, easiest.
One pointed up, one pointed down, your typical hexagram. But
I mean,
yeah.
It's interesting with the Platonic solids. You know, why they call Platonic? Is it because Plato or?
Yeah, Plato had this had that series of 5 shapes that represented fire, air,
He did?
water, and spirit. Yeah.
Well, do you think Plato was a Satanist, or what did he believe in?
Well, and that's I think that's a message we should turn to with the whole thing is with the whole is that Satanist is a term. It gets put on all sorts of people.
Yeah, it is. Like just randomly and blindly just put on people.
If you don't, it's like if you don't accept their priesthood, you're an antichrist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even the churches would label it on themselves as that. Oh, you may be Christian and accept the Bible, but you don't accept our leadership, so you're a part of the emissaries of Antichrist.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the one who was poisoned. What was his name again? Aristotle, or he was poisoned, and it's that's what they do with people who don't believe in Jesus. They poison them, and you're
back then, but that's the thing that people don't realize. Okay, the secular state sponsored whatever. It's like all this criticism about other religions.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the spiritually based killings in the world were done by Christendom.
Absolutely, baby.
25 million people were killed for not being Christian or being the wrong type of Christian.
25 million. Wow, that's a lot.
Buddhism killed about half that. And the numbers actually.
So Buddhism killed people too?
Yeah. There's been millions of people killed for Buddhism, and millions of people killed for Hinduism, but the numbers are much lower.
But wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like in recent years, the numbers gone up. It used to be like about 10 million people were killed because of Buddhism. But now the number has gone down. Now and some of the stuff, like the interesting thing, like I saw this documentary years ago. I don't know, it might have been 10 years ago. Not in my name or something like that. So they went over all the violent. They went over violent, intolerant passages from every religion. But this woman couldn't find any from Islam, so she cut out a bit of Surah 9:5, something like that.
Yeah.
But in context, if there's mention of love and mention of tolerance to anybody who doesn't believe the same way, to just go through your land as long as they're not doing it criminally and stuff like this. It's really out of context, and it's like it's somebody. Now, if you believed in something in some other part of the world, would you have to honor a treaty with somebody that's attacking the houses of worship that you would go to if you were in that part of the country or part of the world?
Nope.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if people are attacking you,
Yeah.
So it's none of it's. People try to twist that thing and act like it's hunting season for 8 months of the year. The Muslims can just hunt and kill non-Muslims. It doesn't say that.
No, exactly.
It calls for a truce, and it does.
Many people who criticize religion haven't even they're like the Christians. The Christians who have read the Bible. Many of the people criticize religion even. They're on the same boat. They haven't understood something before.
But you look at a lot of what's happened. It's like now instead of religion, what's all the killing for?
Yeah.
It's corporations and other ideologies.
So they're on the same boat, baby.
So they've stepped away from religion to kill even more people than ever before. So 10 times have been killed.
They're hypocrites
because of whatever. And people criticize, it's all spirituality. And it's not. There are some things like you do find more child molestation, more murder among the Christians than the Satanists. It seems to be more common statistically, it seems. So that's kind of telling you something right there. Not that I'm blaming all this there, but it's part of it's because they feel like they're sinners and they don't have a choice, and they're going to get blamed just for thinking about it rather than maybe if I think about it, maybe I'll have
exactly. I mean, I was watching some videos in the morning, like Christopher Hitchens, and I watched some Sam Harris. And what's your thought of these guys, Christopher Hitchens all these regular atheists that we look up to so much.
Well,
what's your view on them? That's interesting to know.
Well, I'll say they sell short and over lump groups together.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Harris, for example, Sam Harris, his main.
He's my favorite, by the way.
he for example, he for example has a very strong anti-Islamic current, not because of what Islam itself teaches, but because of what he sees in terms of crime in the world, which actually he gives you all the information to say that, wait, this is less common in those parts of the world. These people are more likely to pose all this other stuff, and it wasn't. The West took centuries to decide that maybe we shouldn't consummate marriages with the little kids or something. While that part of the world says, hey, no preteens, knock it off. Like I saw this video. I saw this video of these people were they didn't have a reliable electricity or anything like this, so they still met out. They still met out in the field with campfires and stuff like this, and so this one guy was complaining. My wife's defective. She hasn't got. I've been with her for years. She hasn't got pregnant.
Okay.
And so I mean, the story unfolds as it goes on, and so they asked him some questions, and one of the questions, basically, they described the whole. It turns out she hadn't menstruated. And once this had become clear, somebody got up from the other side of the circle, walked around the circle, smacked this guy upside the head, walked back. Then they explained it to. Then they all explained to him that you don't touch them like that until they're women, basically.
Okay.
So this guy didn't know. So whatever. But it's. People act like half the world is what just because they're not filling prisons with whatever. They probably just don't have the problem because they're either not saying, oh, let's ignore our drives and go towards career, or pretend we're super pious by not getting married, and that's that sort of thing. Most of the world doesn't fall into that. They're indulging themselves in life. Whether they're using connecting that to their spirituality or not, that's just how things are going. And so people, but one of the things that Sam Harris in one of his books says is, and some of his speeches says is that if there was a God, you'd have to that would imply you'd have to dedicate your whole life. And he sees Islam as being the most comprehensive religion that kind of does that.
Exactly.
Because it seems to him to have guidance on everything, so it's like that. So he really has to oppose that because it's part of his paradigm. Just like I understand the Aleister Crowley thing, that your true will is not just some contrivance, and it's not just it's not what society has just imposed upon you, and it's not just something you made up on yourself. Your purpose in life goes beyond that. So exactly. That's you're trying to experience that. You're trying to realize and actualize that in your life.
You want to experience that. That's the key. Yeah, exactly.
Now, as I said, it's like Crowley. There was definitely things about him, and maybe he was spiritually gifted, but I don't think he's the top. I have this prophet theory, and I think Crowley was on the sectarian prophet thing. So the sectarian prophet thing is like Joseph Smith or Crowley or somebody. They start their own church or something. And any spiritual figure that just decides to do that and makes it about, it's their cult that they run.
Oh wow. Okay,
it's like I think there's even evidence that Jesus definitely Muhammad had to deal with this, but Jesus definitely had to deal with this. Would have had to deal with this. People trying to follow him around, mimicking him and everything, and all this other stuff.
Exactly.
And I don't think that I don't believe that that's what it was about. Is going around just mimicking the guy. It's about his personality, and that's fanaticism.
But maybe that. Like I have a theory about that. Maybe these cult leaders, the occult cult creators, maybe they, as you said, they create a god around the cult leader or whatever. But maybe that's what makes him a god. is that the perception and the energy flows where attention goes, and all the perception of all the followers like maybe makes you immortalized in a way. Do you think there's something to that, or?
Well, the ancient Egyptians had this 9-part theory, and one of the one of it's obviously your body, and one of the 9 is your run. Your run is your name. So you're building up this mention of oneself, but as a rule, I think it's a sacrifice of some of the other.
Wow. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So it's like it's like it's fun. It's funny reading through some of the Islamic narrations about how Muhammad had to tell people all the time. People were trying to take home his spit when he spit in the dirt, or his hair, or if he paid more attention to one type of food or another, people were like,
Wow. The word for this was thought form. That's egregore, or maybe that's how the demons operate too, in a way. Now it's getting too complicated.
Whether it's the original or whether it's not, each side is trying to build up or maintain something.
Because I think Equating said something interesting about Azazel. He said that Azazel told him that I'm not real. I'm only real because you make me real, or something like that. I only become real when in your mind, or I don't exist, or something like that. I thought that was interesting about thought forms and
one of the things that's a danger, though, it's danger at least psychologically, if one doesn't believe spiritually, that to just make up things until you experience them as if they're real.
Exactly, because then you can be so easily fooled, and you never know if the spirit is telling you the truth.
Your mind may like artificial intelligence direct it somewhere that you just didn't even plan. Now I do like to sometimes build up a visualization or whatnot, and then for example, my Enochian meditations, if I want to visualize in the opening part, but by the time I'm done saying, by the time I get to Yod Namad or however the key ends or whatever, I'm letting the visualization drop.
Oh, really?
So here's what the key talks about. Here's the letters of here's the tablet that you find these names on the tablet in this pattern, and that sort of stuff. I just let all that drop, because that's just the intro, and whatever comes through comes through.
Oh yeah,
and I have my most vivid experiences of that sort of stuff. A lot of it, I feel like I've had experiences with all the 30 authors that would be just wonderful, and I could remember, and but I don't remember them. That's the whole thing. I don't. Remember everything.
Of course not.
And sometimes it's like you get exposed to stuff in the dream realm, and it's like or the vision realm, and you can't bring it back. You can't bring it back. You'd like to bring it back, and sometimes you do bring something back, and it's like I told you I very specifically once had a dream. I was somewhere. And it was kind of like my childhood visionary temple. And I heard like music for like 3 days.
That dream.
I mean, like all day, three days, just nonstop. Maybe even
3 days nonstop.
Day.
Wow. What kind of music was it, though?
But it wasn't musical instruments; it was voice.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah. Oh wow. So
and
it's like the whole
I don't think.
Maybe that's what inspired your like kind of these sounds, because I feel like you have that inside of you naturally to like you did with the animal sounds there for a while. Like you have the ability to produce sound in an impeccable way for rituals in a perfect way. That's kind of interesting.
No, but perfect, but it's definitely one of my my group of techniques. I talk about my 7 techniques, and I guess there could be an 8th technique of the silence or whatnot, because it's not the same as non-awareness. So I've given the typical
Okay.
planetary arrangement.
Mhm.
You know, you
Wow.
got
Yeah.
you got you
Mhm.
got excitement on one hand, relaxation on the
Yeah.
other. Well,
Yeah. Okay.
overwhelming
Mhm.
and relaxation.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
and then you have the magical use
Mhm.
of voice or sound or something, and that's pretty standard. And then you have the
Okay. Yeah.
lights. So you have
Mhm.
what your mind's going over, the words,
Mhm.
the visualization, etc.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. Yeah.
and you have awareness and non-awareness, but you also have this seventh one as this
Mhm.
silence bit.
Mhm.
Um, and the
Yeah.
Sufi order that most transmits this is the Naqshbandi, I think, group. If you've heard of
Mhm.
them, the
Hey.
Naqshbandi had this way of silence, and it's not
Uh.
just silence.
Mhm.
You don't know what's happening on the inside of a person. So
No.
they got this way where they're doing their remembrance, they're doing their spiritual practices
Mhm.
without outer signs.
Mhm.
Or when they are doing stuff with outer signs, there's something more going on with the inner.
Mhm.
So they very
Okay.
particularly bring up that.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Um, but
Hmm.
again, a lot of these stuff, it's method.
Yeah.
It's like
Mhm.
philosophy. Philosophy is not, you're not doing philosophy if you're just quoting Nietzsche or whatever.
Mhm.
You have
Yeah.
to actually think through it and
Exactly.
whatnot yourself.
Absolutely. Like he said, um, your life passion, your life a quotation, kind of. What was his name again? Yeah, Adam. No. Well, yeah, there was some. Yeah, most people are just parrots. They're just they
Yeah,
don't even care.
one
Like,
sees through a glass, but not so obscure, right? Um,
yeah.
and bringing it back to the whole prism thing is that
Mhm.
you get into
Yeah.
this realm of experience
Mhm.
of a spiritual path, and when you're on the spiritual path,
Yeah.
you have this variety of experience, this variety
Mhm.
of interpretation, and that
Mhm.
sort of stuff that just
Yeah.
comes with it. That doesn't come with it if you're
Yeah,
not
it comes with it.
part of
Yeah,
it.
and it's a prism, and it really doesn't matter which of these light rays coming out of the prism you look at. They're all coming from the same source,
It's
basically.
like
So
if I look at my aura, I'm not
Mhm.
going to be
Yeah,
ruining the day when I see it more red or
yeah, yeah,
more blue or
yeah,
it's like some churches will tell you if you see blue, if
yeah,
the entity's blue or if you're putting off blue or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that, then it's bad or or
yeah,
the red's
exactly.
the good, and it's like
Yeah, it's a prism, baby.
a lot of it's just your energy, light,
Yeah,
heat, moisture, magnetism. If you're not, if
yeah.
you're only seeing the physical,
Wow,
auras
yeah.
are real. It turns out that they're
Yeah.
real and they're a physical thing. And
Hmm.
uh
Hmm.
and one aspect of that, as I
Yeah,
said, the thing the thing in your
yeah,
mail that you might want to
yeah.
the
Hmm.
mood rings, you can learn to change the color of your mood ring.
You can?
What you eat and stuff that can affect it in one
What?
way,
Even
but
what you eat can. Oh, wow. That's interesting.
but
Yeah.
but you can
Mhm.
change the color. You can meditate and
Yeah.
change. That's what
Yeah.
I used to wear
Meditate for the
mood
purpose.
rings
Yeah.
more often,
Yeah.
which is
Exactly.
probably why I got a whole pile. I'm like, this is a super cheap price. I'm probably going to wear mood rings
Yeah.
the rest of my life because I like doing.
Okay.
It's like, well, I
Yeah.
figured out how to do it, and I'm not.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
people kind of like it.
Hmm.
I've
Okay.
given away some over the years.
Yeah.
From that
Hmm.
little pile I got in the store that was going out of business. Now, if they were $6 a piece or
Okay.
something, I wouldn't have got any of them. I don't think.
Okay.
But the
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
my country things are going way up in price. Even the past, I go
Hmm. Yeah.
I go to the Walmart this month
Yeah.
and I see things are
Yeah. Overly expensive and
a third more of the price. Some I see
wow.
things that are a third more of the price that they were the month before. Some are a
Hmm.
quarter more,
Yeah.
some whatever. I'm like, oh,
Yeah. And probably availability too, right? In kind of ritual. Yeah.
if
Hmm.
people don't want to work the factory jobs or whatnot when they're
Yeah.
receiving,
Yeah. Exactly.
uh,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, why should I have to wait work a full 40
Yeah.
hours a week to get better
Yeah. Except.
benefits?
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
prices go up and all that shit too.
So yeah,
Fine.
it's not that
Yeah.
there's a shortage, it's just people aren't, there's a shortage of people, the materials are there, the people just aren't working the materials.
Mhm.
And there's the people,
Yeah.
there's not the people in some of the stores and all sorts of
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
one's in charge of one's prism.
Mhm.
Even when one's looking in a dark area.
Mhm.
Like
Hmm.
some of this stuff that
Yeah.
some of the dark stuff you could say that I get into on the
Yeah.
channel.
Mhm. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like I said with the whole Ouija board thing, it's not that
Yeah.
I'm in there and I'm like, I just
Mhm.
like I got like what I got out
Yeah.
of the first
Mhm.
Hellraiser movie. None of the
Yeah.
other 9 Hellraiser movies are available just
Okay. Yeah.
free online, so I can't find, I can't so
Mhm.
I may but if they're
Yeah.
available at the library, I may end up checking them
Okay. Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't necessarily want to spend $20 a piece for
No.
something, but
Yeah.
the first one I definitely did get sort of the points, but it's like
Yeah.
people get people,
Mm.
and it's even
Yeah.
the point, they don't care
Mhm.
whether it's good or bad, they just want to have an experience that's different.
Okay. Yeah. Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
seen
And
I've seen
Hellraiser took
videos
advantage of
of
that
people
because
really
yeah.
authentically
Mhm.
not they're not internet troll Satanism, which I'm
Yeah.
not sure you can really call Satanism. It's just
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. You know what group I'm talking
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
about.
Sure. Yeah.
They're
Mhm.
just out there to upset Christians. It's like, oh, let's draw
Yeah.
a
Exactly.
pentagram
Yeah.
around this and
Mhm.
freak people out and like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you don't, and then there's
Yeah.
people who more authentic. The Church of Satan
Mhm.
doesn't officially. Anton
Mhm.
Sander LaVey admitted he
Yeah.
experimented with the Goetia and stuff like that. So
Mhm. Yeah.
um, so he did involve
Huh.
himself in demonology, but
Yeah.
he made his organization
Mhm.
like they were enacting. They were
Mhm.
enacting witchcraft, but they weren't really doing witchcraft. They weren't
Yeah.
literally
Exactly. Yeah.
worshiping
Yeah.
spirits, but they were going through the
Theatrical.
moment.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
so they worship the demons, but don't
Yeah.
worship
Exactly.
go through act like you're worshiping the demons, but don't go through.
Yeah. Exactly. Act like it. Yeah.
The
Mhm.
Satanic Temple took it further and
Mhm.
says, let's just act like it, not
Mhm.
not to set up the drama and work out our own issues, but to
Yeah.
cause a social effect.
Oh, yeah. Mhm. And that social effect, we can see the result of today in most Satanists. Yeah. They're actually playing that out because most Satanists, on Facebook, they have this, Facebook pic image, profile image of a pentagram, and then they, all the same, like fuck off, and they have the skin jacket, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
really, yeah,
something that
it
gets
really,
people.
yeah. I think Anton LaVey really, really managed to have that social influence quite well, I must say.
Well, it was an acting of things. He wasn't.
Mhm.
The Church of Satan
Yeah.
as a whole didn't go into this area
Mhm.
where you have to dress in black and play black metal and stuff like this. You may want to
Yeah.
dress a particular way for some ceremony to have an effect on yourself, but you don't want to.
Mhm.
But you don't have to go around dressing like a vampire from
No. Yeah.
from some movie or something like that. Um,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you don't. Okay. Yeah.
so,
Okay.
but the Satanic Temple was the one that made it like, oh, here's your symbols that upset people and stuff like this. Let's use this stuff.
Huh.
So I don't think
Oh,
they really didn't
okay.
have a spirituality. The Satanic Temple
Wow.
didn't seem like it from the
Okay.
interviews and their creed, and
No, exactly. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just being out there to blaspheme and anger people in the post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's the point, you think, about making this kind of subgroup in the world where people are just in the rebellions for rebellion's sake, and bringing in teenagers, angry teenagers,
Well, that's
emo Satanism.
that's the thing. That some of these
Yeah.
people, they don't quite realize it. I'm not saying
Mhm.
everybody. I'm not saying
Yeah.
everybody, and I'm not just saying that because I
Mhm.
know of some of the people
Yeah.
that would be watching my channel. It's that
Yeah.
certainly a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
It's like that episode of South Park. You can't be a
Mhm.
nonconformist if you don't do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
If you don't conform and drink black coffee all the time, you're not
Yeah.
nonconformist because
And you have to be in the garage and anger your parents with that loud guitar noise and all that shit too.
Most people nowadays can't afford a guitar because they've.
Yeah.
It's like some of the guitars that I could have got for a couple $100 when I was a teenager, like $2,000-3,000, and you try to get a starter guitar, and it's the starter guitars are garbage guitar. It's like I have one guitar that I inherited that's like, oh, I don't want to just say about it. It's like that's a good acoustic guitar if it can be repaired, as in get all its clips and stuff back again, because over time plastic breaks down and all that stuff. You can't expect the guitar of your grandparent that died 20 years ago to do.
What kind of guitar is that, by the way? Is it a Fender or?
I don't remember what brand the one is, and I don't remember what brand the other one is. But my other guitar is like worth a third as much, and it's like $400 guitar. It's a good guitar, but a lot of the you buy a cheap guitar for like 100 or less, you're getting a guitar that may not be, that's probably not going to be even, and it's probably going to have trouble staying in tune. Now, it's one thing if you're going to play all day and tune up and check the tuning every day, once a day or something like that, and you're playing 4 or 5 hours a day practicing something like that, which is.
Do you practice a lot of guitar playing?
It's just too stressful for me. I really don't. I don't pick up the guitar.
You don't have time for that, I guess.
I don't pick it up every month.
Okay.
Years that I've actually. I think there's even been years. I think there's even been more than a year in between sometimes where even picking up whatever. But I lack the chord. You memorize all the chords in the book and you remember the notes on the thing. You learn how to do power chords, and other than moving power chords up and down, I've really my ability to play the guitar, even learning all that stuff, to learn more than professional musicians and still not be able to play the guitar was quite disappointing. Now, I'm not saying a lot of professional musicians do. Most of them, but the ones that are most famous. The most skilled musicians tend not to be the most at the top of the fame.
Really?
If you notice that only a handful of the, it's like, okay. Now people say that Kurt Cobain was more skilled than people realize, but Prince was particularly skilled. Prince could play. Now there was people that were more skilled than him on every instrument that he played around, but he wasn't. He was exceptional. In every single instrument that he played. And
for sure.
So now him getting hurt and then taking drugs to continue being he couldn't do all the breakdancing anymore, and it's like, oh, come on. You don't take drugs just because you can't breakdance like you did when you were 20. That's not a good idea. And eventually bit back on him, and that's why he died. But
Kurt Cobain certainly was an interesting character too.
If you look past certain stuff, and
of course, many people say, oh, he's suicidal.
And it's like and I'm not even sure about that, because you see the pictures of the gun, and how in the world did he get there's questions about the shot.
I have a question that too. It sounds very suspicious in a way.
And the fact the suicide note was, it sounded like he was he told people, hey, I'm going to bow out of the music scene, maybe be one of I don't think he mentioned Elliott Smith or something, but he was going to do sort of the Elliott Smith sort of thing. Like, basically, you can show up and you can be sometimes you had a band behind you, but typically, you could be just some singer-songwriter going about. It used to be every musician was a singer-songwriter. They wrote their own stuff and played their own stuff. And now they might not do either. They might just be the pretty face that was put on that, and they auto-tune everything to death.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like some stuff looks easy, but it's not. It's like Needle in the Hay. The Elliott Smith song "Needle in the Hay" sounds like it sounds super easy, but it turns out that it's like, oh no, this takes practice. This is not something you can just hear and play once, unless you're like,
they say that genius is the ability to take something complicated and simplifying it. but really it's complicated to do that too. So
and some of the simple riffs
Yeah.
or something like this to play are something that you kind of don't.
Yeah.
It's like, but
Mhm.
figuring that out, coming up with
Yeah.
something new that's like catchy and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
so even if it's an easy one to play, it may not be, you know.
Yeah, exactly. People don't think about that, and they don't give credit where credit is due. So,
But some of the stuff, yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
tapping with an electric. You get an electric guitar and you do that tapping
Yeah.
thing, and it's like
okay, yeah,
that's one of the easiest things to do on guitar. That's easier than
Really?
playing the strings. It's obvious. You look
yeah.
at it, you're tapping both sides, and so it's
Yeah.
easier than strumming the string and and pressing on one
Wow.
or another. And you
Okay,
can be more wild with it rather than specific. Because
yeah.
as a rule, you don't have to be as accurate with
But
tapping as
does
you
it
do with
sound more professional in a way too, or when you do
it's
that?
it's tapping seems a lot pretty.
Yeah.
You know, it seems pretty impressive, but it's not as impressive as one thinks because your average person can pick up a
Yeah.
electric guitar when they
Yeah.
can't strum a guitar and make a good sound. They can tap out a
Yeah.
good sound.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
some people still
Didn't know
can't.
that.
Some people still can't, and it does take practice to be good at tapping and whatnot. But it's yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I mean, there are some people who like want to put as little effort as possible to become as famous as possible. So for them, it's a great idea to tap, but or like equating.
It's like that. It's like I saw a clip of a Green Day
equating of guitarists. Yes.
You start off a certain way. Like either you're reading a ritual from a book or you're composing something and reading it from a book, which is tends to be actually a more advanced stage than just doing other people's rituals as a rule. That it's like, for example, in rituals where you can change something, it's like, oh, here's something where you can say something different here and say something different here. I'm going to say something different here, and I'm going to say this here, and I want to think or feel differently in this part or that part, and
yeah, exactly.
You know, that you can do, but you know, taking.
I mean, when the equating does it, sorry,
But starting at it's like. The Goetia playlist. I listen to chant with all of that. Some people would say, okay, let's write out the chant, let's say the chant, and let's use the symbol.
Yeah.
But maybe if you just want to do quick rituals, a quick meditation, and that's all you're doing, and you're not bring it further. But once you start with that sort of stuff, then you might want to build it into the point where, you know, I have nothing. I don't have any obligations tonight. I'll do a long ritual.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And that can be worth it. It's you want to keep up the basic stuff regularly, but
exactly. Keep up the basic stuff. Yeah.
Just
yeah.
You know, I'm not. You know, again, my point isn't summoning demons to try to turn them my way, particularly like the grimoires say, trying to turn them over to Christ. And if you make this demon a Christian, it will do stuff for you.
What?
That's sort of the message you get in some of these books, because it's all in the name of it's in the name of the Trinity, and you're trying to get it directed by the name of Jesus and all this other stuff. And it doesn't make sense worshiping demons.
No, it doesn't.
And being Christian, that doesn't make sense to me. But people have been doing it.
Maybe that's just for the stupid masses, you know, like we mentioned, you know, Crowley, he created the cult, and you know, he wanted to make himself immortalized by his followers, and so he's not really giving them the whole picture. So he's allowing, okay, you can worship angels, and you know. one of
the things I pointed out on my channel, Crowley wrote a book that basically points out that whether you're well, I mean, some stuff he's written in particular also has pointed out that whether or not you end up starting a cult where it's all about your personality, whether they're worshiping you or whether they're just, it's my personality is being projected upon there, is the way is my you got to break free from your personal taste to be the leader of other people and say that this is, you know, my personality taste dictate right and wrong or required or not. It goes beyond that. Like I was saying, the real prophetic model, rather than this stereotypical Abrahamic thing, is these are people who break free from their own likes and dislikes. It's like, if they like a piece of clothing, if they like something about material culture, they don't like it. That's not the deal about whether they're saying something is right or wrong, required or whatnot. It's got to go beyond that. And people coming up with their own spiritual path because maybe they're just trying to do their best or whatever the deal is. They sort of got to go beyond their own likes and dislikes. Now, Crowley had issues because he was abused, and he probably tried to deal with his abuse through his magic and other stuff. So, and you do that. You can deal with your life issues through that, but he pushed himself towards if this was repulsive or otherwise in some way or another, he would try to push him to the point where he liked it, or at least at the moment, or something like that.
Yeah.
So if he hurt himself doing some perverted thing, and felt filthy and whatnot, but got to the point where it wasn't like where he liked it at the time. That was something he was doing. So, but I don't recommend people, as I'm saying, being criminal and being perverted just to be criminal and being perverted. Mastering the most of your mind where you can just switch.
All right. It's like anti-cosmic Satanism too. Don't be weak and be strong, and it's like they're trying to create just a militaristic form of Satanism where, but it's not the real deal. It's just just let them fight amongst each other, let them kill each other.
Well, like a particular a lot of them, it's like this self-abuse becomes sort of some super soldier, which is, it's a miserable life. But then again, they're saying, but I'm a Gnostic, which is not really the real thing with Gnostic. It's not so much a you hate matter. It's that you're not, matter is not it. It's this thing you're using for the time being, your humanity, this world. Without the association with some other some other stuff, we can you don't have to, when you to be transcosmic or to be, because I think I'm the person who invented this.
Transcosmic,
transcosmic and transhumanists. Other people were using this, but I don't think anybody was using the. So but transpersonal. Let's just say transpersonal, transcosmic Satanism or something. You don't have to, for example, get associated with some of the meanings of the words as we see here. But you don't have to deny the reality of any of these things.
No, of course not.
They're there. Again, you got a prism of reality, and the reality is just the situation that you have to use. And we've been rambling, and it's getting pretty late, particularly on your end. So
all right.
And any closing thought before I
Oh yeah, it's 11. Well, there's certainly a lot to discuss in in the world of the satanic cults, and not only the satanic cults, but the New Age cults in particular, and the rainbow cults. And it's always interesting to really discuss these things, because many of the cults, they have one thing for themselves, I felt like, and they have one thing for the followers. And it's quite interesting.
There's a lot of that going. It's like I was saying, the church I grew up in. Oh, if you're part of the quorum of the so there's the quorum of the 70, and then there's the I don't remember how all the numbers break down, but whatever. Once you get to the top of the church, the international church with millions of I don't know, they're making their way towards million members or whatever their actual number is. They're one of those churches that's growing to the point where it may become the #1 church in America. But the leaders are allowed to take out stones and scry with them. But if you're not part of the quorum of the 12, or part of the first presidency, maybe you're not allowed to do scrying. You're not allowed to do a lot of these divination techniques. But you can. Well, you can do the Baptist thing where you try to feel what God would want you to do or something like this. But for the you can't do a lot of this stuff. You're limited in your role for the people. If you're a local leader, if you're the leader of your county or your state or something like that, you don't get paid. But if you're a higher up leader than that, then you get paid. So it's not okay for the lower people to get paid, but we get paid. It has to be all volunteer until you get towards the top.
But how do you know, like, some of the questions when I think about cults is, how do you know that, you know, what they promise is going to come after a while, after you reach these certain degrees and whatever, that you're going to be promised what they promise? Maybe it's just a carrot in a stick, and you know, you try to reach that, and once you reach it, you get something completely different than what you were promised.
Well, I mentioned Ekankar. And one of the things about Ekankar is that they admit. I have more to say on that group, and I've written out programs for the future.
You certainly do, I guess,
but because I literally went through their membership information until it seemed like there was no variety, just more details of like, oh, this spiritual master has this letter on his hand or his forehead, or here's a secret room that we don't, in the public material, we don't tell you about this room in particular of this astral, of this spiritual temple that you can project towards. So there's this room that we tell you about that we haven't told anybody, that we don't tell the public about, since you've been a member of this many years. We're telling you about this spiritual. It's like, it didn't seem like real advancement. It's like they're throwing in little tokens to say that you've advanced, and little pieces of information to make you feel special, but it's not real. It's not tangible information. It's not.
That's the word. Tangible.
It's not even a real extra spiritual teaching as far as something that will guide you. It's a cosmological detail.
Exactly.
It's like in Judaism and Kabbalah forms of Judaism, they'll tell you more details as you go on. First, you learn the alphabet or something,
they're more honest.
And then as you're progressing the steps of the alphabet or something like this, they'll tell you details of their particular initiation system that you're not going to get. Now it's an experience, I will admit that, and the Ekankar material admits that, hey, even the secret discourses, the secret discourses are more than the public stuff, which is actually less material, actually. But the public stuff, the secret stuff, 90% of it, they admit straight out. I don't remember the number. I do mention in a program that either I've written or presented on the Responding to New Age Religion Ekankar. They say 90% of it is your experience.
Oh, that's the secret right there.
So if there's not much to the discourse, they're just blathering on about the same thing, and make it, and instead of making a 20-page book, they write a 300-page book.
That's the meaning of that's the true meaning of esoteric, isn't it? Experience. So they give you the exoteric. That's like the outside, but you're supposed to transcend that and like get to the inner core of things by your own practice and experience. And
so your typical New Age group is going to give you the feeling that there's this big esoteric side, but their teachings are really little. And if you have the experience, and you don't want to admit it too, you spend the years and the times in the group, and you don't want to admit that you spent 5 years. You know, all you can do is just see some basic blue light or something in your meditation. You don't want to admit that you haven't had more experience with that.
I think that I get the feeling that the New Age cults are the least honest in what you get when you advance in the system.
Some people fool themselves. I'm not saying that. Some people
fool yourself too.
Either they're accepting the first entity that speaks to them that's not human. They're just going to blindly do whatever it says, not even think about whether even if it conflicts with what they know about physical reality. They say no, I'm going to follow whatever the voice said. even
Yeah,
if like
exactly.
even if like that one person who does their cam church
Yeah.
today, even if they say
Yeah.
something like they did
Mhm.
drugs until they started seeing the beings.
Mhm.
So you try to kill yourself to the point where you're obviously brain damaged, and then you start doing recreational drugs to a point where you never did them before, and then you start seeing things, and rather than
Yeah.
thinking maybe I'm hallucinating, maybe I'm maybe my way
Yeah.
or at least my interpretation of these things are off because I
Yeah.
just can't get sober.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, some
Mhm.
people can whatever without going nuts.
Yeah.
Some people can't,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's not you know,
Yeah.
this I got high and saw this
Mhm. Yeah,
is
exactly.
really not, it's really not the founding of a religion story
Yeah.
that you can
No.
trust so much, particularly when it's like, oh
Yeah.
wait, are you
Mhm.
funding your drug habit through
Yeah. Yeah.
through the profits from your group?
Yeah.
Um, which
Huh.
that stuff happens with people, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
but as a prism, it's not, you know. So there's
Yeah.
those different things. There's
Mhm.
not, it's
Yeah.
not an the I think the message
Yeah.
that we got here, I guess, is
Mm.
well, I mean, that would have came through with the videos. It's not some
Yeah.
artificial
Yeah.
stratification like
Okay. Yeah.
Axaru or some
Mhm.
or Scientology or something like that would
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
because
Mhm.
it's one thing there being an esoteric side and you understand hermetic layers and you got this stuff in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
that's available to
Exactly. Yeah.
everybody and over time,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
breaking things up just so you
Yeah.
spend time and move
Mhm.
across move through the
Mhm.
group as the years go by,
Yeah. Hmm.
that
Yeah.
just seems like some mind control or some
Yeah.
social
Yeah. Mind
control
control.
thing that
Yeah.
they're you know, trying to lord over
Yeah.
you. um,
Of course. Yeah.
but it's not some artificial mixing either.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine
Yeah.
marrying like people marrying and breeding from different races and ethnic groups and countries
Yeah.
and parts of the world other
Yeah.
than that. That's our
Mhm.
climates or whatnot. That's fine. But
Yeah.
making that like a point, like you
Mhm.
have to mix breed, not who
Hmm.
you're attracted to or who you get along with. You have to marry
Yeah.
somebody of a
Yeah.
different color than you.
Yeah. You have to make it a hat. You have to. Yeah.
That's
Mhm. That's not
there's
necessary.
advantages. There's
Yeah.
advantages. The fact that
Mhm.
humans have 19 races.
Mhm.
The
Oh shit. Whoa.
Darwin theory broke it up too much because
Yeah.
he broke up Europe basically by
Yeah.
countries and stuff and set.
Mhm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But the 19 race theory, that's what I hear. The thing is that there's advantages
Mhm.
that each of those groups have, and why destroy those
Yeah.
advantages by mixing everybody together? Just mix
Yeah.
things together. Um,
Yeah. Exactly.
now, if people get together, but just
Yeah.
mixing to destroy the
Mhm.
races of
Hmm.
humanity by just mixing everybody to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
point where
Just because of doing it.
where
Yeah.
nobody has any racially specific feature anymore.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then what? Then what? Should the black people have to get sunburned all the time because white people get sunburned?
Yeah.
Are you going to just breed them out until
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't
um,
make sense. Yeah.
are
Huh.
or should they have to get
Mhm.
or should white people have to get frostbite because
Mhm.
they're no longer pure northern Asians,
Yeah.
pure northern Europeans anymore?
Yeah. 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 Good
Um,
points.
and different you know, there's different nasal passages and stuff like this, which is part of why we have these different languages, is because
Mhm.
different languages are on different
Hmm.
trains.
Hmm. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, reason. That's the key. Like, look at the reason of things, and the logical reason. People don't do that many times. They just hump along something because it sounds like plausible or logical, but yeah. So
True
mhm.
equality and all that's gonna, you know,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
require
Yeah. Mhm.
true equality is going
Yeah.
to, you know,
True equality. That's the word. True. Yeah.
it doesn't force the
Yeah.
stratification, artificial
Mhm.
stratification.
Yeah.
It doesn't force artificial mixing, and it certainly doesn't enforce
Hmm.
mere fantasy
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
mere
Exactly.
variety for its own sake.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
that's four things you can connect the idea of a prism that,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Huh. Yeah. That's a good hint there. Yeah.
So I do click on the
Yeah.